Norway for this is the album where I've only ever seen the name written down, so I don't know if it's ATENA or ATENA. It's spelled ATENA. I'm gonna call it ATENA because that's what I've been having in my head until I start pressing record. Um, ATENA is the band. The album is called Drowning Regret. I'm gonna try again. Drowning Regret and Lungs Filled with Water. It is their third album. It is a lot better than how I pronounce that, I promise. And like I said, they come from Norway. They are based in Oslo, and they do a very familiar style of electronic metalcore. It dabbles a bit with deathcore. It fucking whatever the extreme version of a dabble is. I was gonna do it touches on metalcore, full on gropes. There is a Hell by Bring Me the Horizon, but I've ruined my own fucking metaphor now. Yeah, little bits of deathcore, a whole lot of There Is a Hell, Era, Bring Me. It is, yeah, a very, like I said, a very familiar kind of metalcore. It is the kind of thing that peaked around late 2000s, sort of stuff where a lot of the era of like electronic core is already pretty much dead. You had like the Nintendo core sort of stuff and like the early Asking Alexandria and that weird like almost I'll throw Crunkcore in there as well, like wave where it was like proper discotheque fucking hell, how old am I? Like rave and drum and bass style electronics with post-hardcore. When they start to move away from that and start using synths for atmosphere and ambience, the same way Architects still do now, and like how I said, Bring Me did on There Is a Hell, and even a little bit on Sempiternal, I guess. It falls in that margin of that like crossover to being a bit more expansive with electronics and their synths. I found the song Death Is All I Think About. I believe it was just through a Bandcamp dive one evening, and the song itself I really, really enjoyed. I thought I was very intrigued by the two vocalists. On cleans, you've got Jacob Scully, and on harsh vocals, you've got Simon Kjexed. I really hope I'm getting both those names out. I'm probably not. But with Jacob, or Jakob, I call him Jacob because I'm English and I apparently hate all nationalities that aren't my own, including my own. With Jacob, his clean vocals are almost like borderline baritone at times. He's got quite a deep, natural kind of natural sounding voice. Whereas the way I've described Simon's harshes in my head is, you know, you get like in punk rock, you've got very like clean singers, and you've got the very like gnarly, harsh ones. Not harsh, like no, just gnarly ones. So you've got the more pop punk side of things, where you've got Billy Joe from Green Day. You've got Mark, Tom, and oh my god, why can't I remember his name? The fucking dude from Alkaline Trio. Why are you doing this to me, brain? I asked for so much. That's probably why actually I asked for a lot. Matt Skiba. Fucking hell, it's the second time this week I've done that. So yeah, there's kind of like clean vocals that Matt, Tom, Mark, Billy Joe, I don't know, Patrick from Fall Out Boy. They're like basically clean sounding pop punk vocalists. If you were to use that for harsh vocalists, they would be because I used them earlier. Sam Carter from Architects, a very crisp, clear sounding scream, but it's still inevitably quite heavy. And then you got like your more gnarlier sounding punk with Sex Pistols, that sort of thing, where you've got proper like snarl, like phlegm at the back of your throat, kind of clean vocal. That to me is kind of what Simon was doing on here. It is more of a gnarly kind of snarl and growl to his voice, as opposed to like a very crisp, very produced kind of scream. And it's not a knock. I genuinely found it quite interesting on that initial song. and that's what drew me in. It was quite different to other metalcore I heard, because it was just, you had, whereas you tend to have quite high pitched, squeaky, clean vocalists. This was a very, deep sounding cleans with very like, I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, it's very like, I'll use the word again then, fucking snarly, kind of harshes. So yeah, very interested in that. And then the song itself, I really enjoy, because they were using synths to create more of an atmosphere and more, almost like Ice Nine Kills kind of ambience and theme behind the music. And yeah, really, really went for the song, and I got very, very excited for whatever was going to come from it, if it was an EP or an album, whatever. The follow-up single, Born Rotten, initially, I was not very keen on at all. For every bit that I praised the vocals for and what I enjoyed from the vocals from Death Is All I Think About, I kind of had the opposite with Born Rotten. It just felt, they had so many ideas that were trying to do all at once, and a lot of the vocal execution just did not work. Like, I think that the clean chorus to Born Rotten, and it's just, and that's all you hear. I can see what they were trying to go for, like add a little bit like a ghostly thing to it, but it just didn't work. It sounded more of a mumble, and in the context of the album, and listen to a bit more whilst listening to the album as a whole, it has gone on me a little bit, but not to the point where I was like, yeah, this is a good song. It just didn't hit me the same way Death Is All I Think About did. And yeah, so my expectations for the album as a whole changed. So after Death Is All I Think About, I thought it was going to be a very, for lack of a better term, a very bop-filled metalcore album, on par with that third AA album that I always go on about. And there was a second album that I used to say about a lot, and it's completely escaped me. I like to try and think about it because I'll be here all day. But just not, for me at least, not top tier album of the year sort of stuff, but something you can just put on and have just an easy time with it. That was after Death Is All I Think About. After Born Rotten, it changed quite dramatically. I tempered expectations, so now I thought it was going to be a very, very standard metalcore album, but every now and again a song's going to pop up and go like, fuck yeah, this is really, really good. And unfortunately, I've kind of had neither. I ended up not getting on board with this album as much as I hoped it would, and I'm actually quite gutted, because yeah, I was quite hyped for this album for a while. There's a lot of Crossfaith vibes on it, and that's obviously not the kind of electronics that they use. The crossover between the electronics they use is very, very small. To me, it's more how they use them and how how their songwriting is. I can't remember what song it is. I think it might be She Wept As I Told Her, excuse me. And the way, I even think then it's Simon who sings and cleans, and it almost like the sort of attitude, borderline spoken word sort of thing, which is very similar to what is it Koji, I believe his name is, in but lead singer of Crossfaith. That's the kind of way he does it as well. And so yeah, that was kind of like the little Crossfaith I was going through. There's a lot of like rapcore kind of stuff in there, which reminded me a lot of Stray from the Path. But it just became an album where they had so many things they wanted to do, and they had so many different ideas, and it became messy. There apparently is like this overarching story across the three albums that they've done. I think it stems from a teenage girl getting pregnant to having the baby, and on this album the baby is like grown up to be a toddler and is trying to get hold of the mum. On track 5, which just looks like a phone number of some kind, it's just a succession of messages where the daughter's trying to get hold of the mum, and it's kind of odd. I think it's very, very ambitious to write a story across across 3 albums. People have done it. People have done it well. People have done it badly, without listened to the other two albums. Like, I'm not going to say if they've done it well or not, but I just trying to have something like that in there, which is fine if they want to do that, and then having like on that. So that song is then followed by a song called "Domestic Abuse," which is very, very on the nose and very, not subtle at all about what it's all about. And that was almost probably one of the best songs on this album. Yeah, there's no particular reason why. It was just the ideas they're trying to get on, the ideas that I really, really liked in their Death Is All I Think About. They just did it again in Domestic Abuse. I thought it was just very, very well done and very interesting modern electronic metalcore. Fuck now. But halfway through the song, they have a rapper come in, a rapper by the name of Damien, and he has a rap verse, and it just does not fit. It just does not fucking fit. The first part of the album, so the chorus, sorry, of the album, of the song, excuse me, fucking hell. Sweaty shaking palms, sweaty shaking fingers and palms, can't unlock the phone, daydream when she lingers in his arms, not safe in his home, never. That's, again, it's not subtle, but it's pretty cleverly written. It's pretty goodly written lyrics. That's not even a sentence, but you know what I mean. And then you've got the rap part, which is, the opening to it is, you wanted to fight, well, you caught me in a bad mood. I'm a bad motherfucker, let nobody pass through. I fry motherfuckers like I'm slinging that fast food. That's not what I meant, well, nobody asked you. It's just completely different vibes. It's completely different energies that they're trying to put into this album, or to this song, sorry, fucking hell. And it just does not work. It just does not work. I'm upset. It's not because it doesn't work, because rap shouldn't be in music, heavy music, and that's 100% not what I'm saying. I'm going to talk about an album in a bit, which is all the things of pop music in with metal music. It's just, and I've also compared this album to Crossfaith and Stray from the Path. There's nothing wrong with having rap in metal. There's nothing wrong with combining two genres of any kind together. Just ask Zealanada. But the important thing is that it's done well, and it just doesn't work. And it, like I said, it's a massive shame. There's a lot of cool ideas, a lot of interesting ideas that they're trying to go for. Just unfortunately, poorly executed, in my opinion. I can see this being highly regarded in modern metalcore kind of fandom, I guess, for a better term. So if you went for mid-career, so what's that? From Death to Destiny. And I'll even say the one before that, which I can't think what it's called. Reckless and Relentless, I think it's called. Of Asking Alexandria, or of There Is a Hell, Sempiternal Time, Bring Me, Architects, that kind of thing. It's electronic metalcore, but it's not synthy. It is atmospheric, thematic metalcore. Give it a go. It might be something you really get on board with, and yeah, at the end of the day, it was a tryout for me, and it just didn't work for me personally. So it's a shame, but never mind. It's been a stressful week, guys. I'm sorry. Drowning Regret and Lungs Filled with Water. That is what the album is called. It's album 3 from the Norwegian metalcore troupe ATENA. Or ATENA. It's one of them.